This is Randy Finney with Right Side of the Chart, and today is Monday, May 14th, 2018. This video will be brief. It's a follow-up to the video I did on Thursday titled Analysis of Gold, GDX, and Commodities. So we're only going to look at, we'll just do a quick follow-up on the currencies, the US dollar, the euro, gold, GDX, and platinum, and just see what's happened since and where we're likely headed. Starting out here, I covered the 60-minute chart of US dollar index futures. At the time, if we zoom in here, we were on Thursday, we were right there. I made mention back testing this channel. What I'm referring to is this price channel. We recently put in a divergent high on the 60-minute chart, had a pretty well-defined price channel. Mentioned that was about as objective as a shorting op gets on the dollar when you have a breakdown and then a back test. And if you reference that video, you can see these are the lines. And what happens on the way I have these set, these levels will shift. So this line right here, this first blue line, was also on that chart from Thursday is at 92.13. You can see we hit that to pretty much the button today in reverse so far. So that's where we had a little reversal in platinum. I'll get to that in a second. So story is we've hit my first target out of three potential near-term pullback targets in the dollar. This could morph into something more, but either way, the initial tag of a support level from above is often followed by a reaction. A reaction can be either consolidation, maybe a little sideways trading, or a little bounce. We had a bounce so far. That's again the low of the day. So the dollar is playing out for that correction. I do think there's more to come, and let's just dive into the charts. I'll tell you why. And again, whether or not you trade currencies or not, the benefit here is the gold and GDX and the precious metals will move inversely to the dollar. So here's US dollar index futures, now a daily chart. You can see we got that pullback. And if you look quickly, I went over this chart in detail in that last video. So if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and do so. There it is. We're coming off very overbought levels. The last time we even touched the 70 level on the RSI was right here. You can see what happened to the dollar then. Again, I am not looking for that deep of a pullback, even though we are more overbought now. But we do have additional confirmation. There's the MACD cross making a bearish cross at high levels. PPO is rolling over. I don't have the signal line on the PPO here, but that is what that is. And bigger picture, dollar broke out of this downtrend line, so I'm looking for a pullback. And this is my pullback target zone right now, these three lines there. Those are the same lines we just looked at on the 60-minute chart. There they are. The levels are in blue, and they get pushed down. Red shows you the current price. We'll go back to the 60-minute chart. Red's the current price. Blue are these three lines right there. So let's take a look at the euro US dollar. On that video, we'd come down to the bottom of the support zone and started to reverse, and see we continue to reverse. We're coming off oversold levels on the euro US dollar pair, which is what we're looking at here on a daily time frame. I want to do this video quick, but if you're new to the site, if I don't mention it when I go to these charts here, this is TC2000, they have the time frame is always up here on the upper, somewhere up in the top left corner there, if I fail to mention what time frame we're looking at. So there it is, big rising wedge pattern breakdown, and now a kickback rally, which will probably take us up here to about that 120, almost 121-ish level on the euro before all is said and done. Maybe more. We have looks like a pending bullish cross on the PPO down here, and again we're coming off the most oversold levels that we've been on the euro since going back here, leading up to just before this low back in late 2016, early 2017, that culminated with divergence. We had a divergent low following that extreme overbought reading. So that's the outlook for the euro. Let's see on the 60-minute chart. There it is. We had a downtrend line right here, pretty well-defined downtrend lines taken out. And so now you can see in the euro also, just like the dollar reversed off support today, the euro US dollar pair reversed off resistance. If you're new to my analysis, I follow the euro US dollar pair because the euro is by far the largest component of the US dollar index, making up over half of the returns. And therefore, if you want to know where the dollar is going, you just look at where the euro is going, and it's going to tell you, give you a good clue, at least a good part of it. So either way, not by coincidence, euro reversed off that same level I had as resistance with the dollar index reversing off support. So that's what we need to look at. Now so whether we have a little more pullback here or not after that, this move up, this is support right here, the 119,376 level. I doubt we'll go that low, but it's possible. Maybe we come all the way back to 118, almost 119 there, and then push up. But the most important thing now, the next buy signal in gold, GDX, or sell signal in the dollar would be a breakout above this level in the euro, just like a breakdown in the dollar chart, that support level I just covered that we bounced off today in the dollar index chart. And I'm referring to an impulsive break, at least a 60-minute close, ideally a daily close above that level. And that's that. Let's just jump over to gold. Well, actually, let me go into platinum. I told you guys, or I put up a post recently on the site. I think it was a front page post. Can't recall if it was trading room front page post, that platinum was looking interesting here. This is a daily chart of platinum, PPLT, I should say, the platinum ETF. So this is one potential trading proxy. And this one's marked by, it's a simple wash, rinse, repeat pattern here. You have for these divergent lows. This one was a bullish falling wedge with divergent low. Boom. That must have been an official trade. Looks like we hit the second of three targets, T1, T2, T3. Reverse setup here with another divergent low right there and a downtrend line breakout. So divergent low. And now once again, this one's not very large at this time, but it is a divergent low. And I had mentioned when I pointed this out, we were approaching that downtrend line. So I said, really you don't want to buy right in front of resistance because platinum might need another thrust down within this wedge. And so far you can see it did reverse off there. It's reversing harder than gold today, and that's fine. This is a combination more so platinum's own specific technicals. Again, it hit downtrend line resistance, and the dollar is also its support. So if we get a bounce in the dollar, you're going to see platinum pull back a little bit. Like I said, it's down, 0.71%, whereas gold is actually hanging in there today. Gold's actually positive, up 0.1%. So that's showing, gold's being pretty resilient. But again, the dollar's not doing a whole lot today. That bounce hasn't been very high. And GDX, this is the official trade idea. T1, I'm scrolling in and out here. Sorry, because this chart's a mess. T1's 23.14. We almost hit that. We came close the other day. The high that day was 23.06 versus my target of 23.14. So we came within 8 cents of the target. It still looks good to me. Again, based on the case that despite any near-term pullbacks in the dollar, I think there's near-term rally or bounce in the dollar. I think there's more downside in the dollar and more upside in gold and GDX as well as platinum. And again, on platinum, two ways to look if you're trying to trade this: either buy on a dip, probably not bad. It's a pretty decent pullback today. Might be a decent time to scale in. We could come back down here. We could even take out those recent lows. I don't see it happening, but it's possible, and that'd be, this level here at 85.15. But again, I outlined some scenarios there for platinum in that video last Thursday, and if we do break out, and that would be a buy signal, impulsive break, and especially a close above this downtrend line. And I guess that's about it. Let's keep this video short. Like I said, there's not a lot of new developments, but I did want to follow up because the dollar and the euro and everything else I was looking for did reverse at those levels. Not so much a really big movement in gold and GDX yet, but if the trade pans out, I view that as a good thing, because if my analysis on the dollar continues to play out as expected, gold and GDX are going to play a game of catch up. So it's better in this case. Sometimes the problem is gold and GDX and miners will anticipate a rally in the dollar before it actually occurs if it's setting up. And in that case, by the time you wait for the confirmation for the dollar to be breaking down and look like it's heading lower, gold GDX may have already run and not offer an objective entry. So whether this trade pans out or not, like I said, my thoughts remain the same. It still looks like an objective entry here because gold is still at the bottom of that trading range, or not far from it. We've had a lot of reactions off this trading range. This is all of 2018 right here, this boxed area, and we're still at the bottom of that trading range. So if gold happens to work its way back up towards the top, even there's it's not a hard level at the top. You can see you could add a line right here, but even if it were to make that rally, let's try to measure it out for you here. Turn these off so I can measure from where we're at today. up to that level. That's a 2.8% pop in gold, which I can almost assure you sometimes there's a little disconnect between GDX and gold, but more often than not, when gold rallies, GDX rallies even more. So wouldn't surprise me to see GDX on this rally before all is said and done get up here at about the 2480 level. That's about an 8.4% gain. If it happens pretty impulsively, multiply that times 3 and maybe then some, because I've mentioned before, when you trade 3-time leverage ETFs, you don't want to hold them during sideways grinds, but if you can catch them during these rips like this, Nugget will actually do better than 300% or 3 times GDX in what I call unidirectional, fairly unidirectional rips. That means strong rips with very few counter trend rallies or red closes against it. That's what you're looking for. So that's when I think those 3-time leverage ETFs really shine. If you can get in there, long or short, and get those rips and dips and stay away from these sideways grind periods. You know, I've been saying for months now, I've been out of gold, GDX, because the charts weren't clear and I suspected it would grind around, and that's what it's done. So either way, this trade will, like any other, work out or not work out. And but right now, the charts seem to be confirming it, and I like the fact that the dollar is starting to play out for that reversal. And you know, right now, I showed you some near-term targets, but we could actually have a considerable correction in the dollar here that could last for, instead of just maybe days, easily go into several weeks, possibly months. Or more before the dollar resumes its uptrend, and if so, that would certainly give a tailwind to a trade in gold and most likely GDX. All right, this has been Randy Finney with Right Side of the Chart. Hope you enjoyed it.